Greetings and welcome to the introduction to astronomy. One of the things that I like to do in each of my introductory astronomy classes is to begin the class with the astronomy picture of the day from the NASA website, that is apod.nasa.gov/apod. And today's picture for July the 23rd of 2020. Well, it is titled Fairytale NEOWISE. So what do we see here? Well, we see the castle in the foreground in the Bavarian Alps, and we look up into the sky above it and see a couple of objects stretching across the sky. Now, one of them right above the castle is an example of a meteor. Now, it's probably one of the Perseid meteors, which is a meteor shower which will peak next month in August, and where we will see lots of meteors over the course of a couple of evenings. However, of course, there are some they do start a little bit earlier, so there can see the occasional one now, but the peak will be coming up, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some images of those in August. Now, the meteor is actually a tiny bit of a comet, and this is associated with Comet Swift-Tuttle. When the comet passes close to the sun, material is removed from the comet, vaporized, and forms a head and a tail. And much of that material is no longer gravitationally bound to the comet and gets left behind. Now, what happens is that it continues to orbit the sun just like the comet did. So all of those individual particles continue in their orbits. And in some cases, like with Comet Swift-Tuttle, those orbits may intersect the Earth's orbit. And in that case, when those particles strike the Earth's atmosphere, they will vaporize. And that's what we're seeing in this meteor trail up above the castle. A small piece of a comet, just the size of a grain of sand, that is being vaporized in the Earth's upper atmosphere. Now, off to the left, we do see Comet NEOWISE, very prominent comet that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, and in fact has been the subject of many of our pictures over those last few weeks as well. Now, this is the kind of thing, the material from the comet will be left behind does form meteors. But there's a big difference between a comet and a meteor. A meteor will flash across the sky and disappear very quickly, lasting only a fraction of a second as that little bit of material vaporizes in the Earth's atmosphere. A comet will last a much longer time. And in fact, if you sat there and watched this comet, you would watch it rise and set just as any other object. So if you went back and looked a few minutes later, the comet would be essentially in the same spot. And then eventually it would slowly be seen to set after the sun here. So it would be just sitting there hanging in the sky. Its position relative to the stars would remain essentially the same, although that would slowly change from day to day. But there's a big difference between a comet, which will just sit there, and a meteor that just streaks across the sky. And if you blink, you miss it. You won't miss the comet by blinking because it will still be there. At least for another week or so, still be able to see Comet NEOWISE in the sky. So a big difference between what we see as a meteor and a comet. And here in one image, we get to see an example of each of those. So that was our picture of the day for July the 23rd of 2020. It was titled Fairytale NEOWISE. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Magic NEOWISE. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.